The thing in the woods kept whispering my name. I still don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe just to get it out. Maybe hoping someone will believe me. Or maybe just to feel less insane. I haven't slept right since it happened. Every time I close my eyes, I hear the fucking whisper again. My own name, like it's crawling under my skin. I'm not a survivalist or anything. I'm not one of those ultra hikers you see on YouTube. I'm just a guy who likes camping. Cheap vacations, disconnecting from work, that kind of thing. I've gone on solo trips before, usually stick to well-known trails. But last September, I wanted to push it a little. Something off-grid, away from the crowds. Somewhere you really wouldn't hear cars or people. So I picked the Cascade Mountains. I planned everything. REI tent, bear spray, jet boil, all of it. Downloaded offline maps, packed extra snacks, double-checked my gear 3 times. My friends teased me about overpacking, but fuck them, they weren't coming. I wanted the quiet. Just me, the trees, the mountains. I drove out early on a Friday. It was chilly but sunny, classic early fall weather. The air smelled like pine and cold dirt. I parked the Subaru at a tiny gravel lot near an unmarked trail I'd read about on a backpacking forum, supposed to lead to this gorgeous hidden alpine lake, not on official maps. The kind of place you have all to yourself. That's what I wanted. That's what I thought I wanted. The first few hours were perfect. Just me and the crunch of my boots on the trail, filtered sun coming through the trees. I saw a deer, some blue jays, even a little black fox darting between rocks. Total peace. But around mile 7, something started to feel off. It wasn't anything huge, just small things. First, I noticed a second set of boot prints on the trail. They hadn't been there earlier, I'm sure of it. And they weren't old. The dirt was soft from last night's rain and the prints were sharp, recent. Someone else was out here. Okay, fine, not the end of the world, maybe another hiker, maybe a hunter. But when I stopped to eat, I swear I heard twigs snapping somewhere uphill, just out of sight. I called out, "Hey, anyone up there?" But got nothing back. I brushed it off. Told myself not to be paranoid. I kept moving. By late afternoon, I reached the lake. It was stunning, honestly, like glass, ringed with yellowing larches, the peaks reflecting off the surface. I set up camp on the far side where there was a little rocky clearing. I remember thinking it was perfect. No cell service, no people, just pure, wild quiet. That night, after dinner, I sat by the water, watching the stars come out. It was one of those moments you feel small in the best way, you know? Like you're lucky just to exist. I went to bed feeling relaxed. I even left the rainfly half open so I could see the stars from my sleeping bag. But sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. I didn't know why at first. Just that panicked adrenaline jolt kind of wake up, heart pounding. The tent was cold and the woods were dead silent. Not a single insect or night bird. Then I heard it. A whisper. I sat up, straining to listen. I thought maybe it was the wind, but there wasn't any wind. Everything was still. And then, clear as anything, I heard it again. My name. Whispered, slow, drawn out. Mark. I froze. My mouth went dry. I tried to tell myself it was a dream, some half-awake hallucination. But then I saw the shadow outside the tent. Not an animal. Too tall, too still. Someone was standing there. I fumbled for my flashlight, trying to keep my hands from shaking, and when I flicked it on, the shadow moved. Not away, closer. I'm not proud of this, but I froze. Just sat there, clutching the light, barely breathing. Whoever was out there didn't say anything else. They just waited. I don't know how long it lasted. 5 minutes? 10? I kept thinking I'd hear footsteps walking away, but there was nothing. Finally, I worked up the nerve to unzip the tent and shine the beam outside. Nobody. But about 20 feet away, on the edge of the clearing, I saw something that made my stomach drop. My backpack, the one I'd hung up on a tree to keep away from animals, was sitting on the ground, halfway unzipped. And there, right next to it, were boot prints, leading away. I don't know how I got through the rest of the night. I didn't sleep, just sat up, knife in one hand, flashlight in the other, heart hammering. At first light, I packed up as fast as I could. I didn't eat, didn't even filter water, I just wanted out. But when I went to grab my map, it was gone. Not dropped, not misplaced, gone. I tore through my gear like a madman, but it wasn't there. The only way back was to follow the trail and hope I didn't get lost. The whole hike back, I kept feeling like I was being watched. Every snapping twig made me jump. I didn't stop to rest. I barely drank. And then, maybe a mile from the trailhead, I saw something that nearly made me piss myself. Pinned to a tree, right at eye level, was a piece of paper. It was my map, folded, stabbed into the bark with a hunting knife. And across it, in shaky handwriting, was one word: Mark. I don't remember pulling the knife out of the tree. I don't even remember grabbing the map. I just remember my vision going blurry, like tunnel vision, and my hands shaking so bad I almost dropped everything. My mouth was bone dry, my throat hurt, and my heart was punching so hard in my chest I thought I might pass out. I wasn't imagining this. Someone knew my name. Someone had been out there with me, had gone through my shit, had followed me all the way back toward the trailhead. And now they wanted me to know they were still watching. I wanted to run. God, I wanted to sprint back to my car, lock the doors, and peel out of there. But my legs were jelly. Every step I took, I kept expecting to hear running footsteps behind me or see someone dart between the trees. I forced myself to keep walking. Every 100 feet, I spun around, scanning the woods. Nothing. But that just made it worse. By the time I got back to the gravel lot, I was drenched in sweat. My Subaru was the only car there. No other hikers, no one parked nearby. I dumped my gear in the back and jumped in, slamming the locks down before I even started the engine. As I pulled out, I kept glancing in the rear view, half expecting to see someone step out of the trees. But the lot stayed empty, just dirt and shadows. The drive back to the nearest town was about an hour. It was the longest hour of my life. My phone was still in airplane mode, so I didn't get any signal until I was nearly at the gas station on the main road. When it finally buzzed back to life, I saw the time, just after noon, and a bunch of notifications from a group chat with my friends. Stupid shit. Memes, sports scores, normal life. I pulled into the gas station, hands still shaking, and just sat there. I knew I should go to the police, tell someone, report that some psycho was out there stalking hikers. But what the hell was I going to say? That someone whispered my name in the dark? That they stole my map and pinned it to a tree? There wasn't a scratch on me. Nothing stolen. No photos. No proof. I told myself to let it go. Just drive home, take a hot shower, and put this behind me. I filled up the tank. I bought a coffee. I even made myself check the car's back seat, just in case. But as I was leaving the gas station, I noticed something that made my stomach flip all over again. There was a man standing by the ice machine, half hidden in the shadow of the awning. He was tall, wearing a beat-up brown jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. I wouldn't have thought anything of it, except he was staring at me. Not just a casual glance. He was locked on, eyes following me as I walked back to my car. For a second, I wondered if I was just being paranoid. Maybe he was waiting for someone, or just zoned out. But as soon as I got into the car, he stepped forward. I didn't wait to see what he wanted. I threw the car into reverse and peeled out of there so fast I almost clipped the pump. I kept checking the mirror, watching to see if he got into a car, if he was following me. But the lot stayed still. He just stood there, shrinking in the distance. I drove the whole way home with my hands clenched tight on the wheel. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of the tires on the road and the roar of my own heartbeat in my ear. When I got back to my apartment, I deadbolted the door and closed all the curtains. I didn't unpack anything. I didn't answer texts. I just sat there, lights off, back against the wall. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the knife stuck in the tree, and the whisper, the way it curled through the dark, soft and deliberate. Mark. I kept telling myself it was over. I was home, safe. But around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. No message, just a photo. It was dark and grainy, but I knew what it was immediately. A picture of my car, parked in front of my apartment, taken from across the street. I scrambled to the window, yanking the curtain aside, heart in my throat. But the street was empty. No cars idling, no one standing under the streetlights. Just the wind rattling the leaves. I thought about calling the police, but what was I going to say? That I got a creepy text? That someone maybe followed me home? I sat up the rest of the night, every light on in the apartment, a kitchen knife clutched in my hand. When the sun came up, I finally crashed on the couch for a couple of hours. But even then, I kept jolting awake, sure I was hearing footsteps outside. The next few days were a blur. I went to work, pretended everything was normal, but I was unraveling inside. I kept checking over my shoulder, flinching when people brushed past me on the street. My friends noticed, asked if I was okay. I told them I was sick, stressed, whatever. Then, on the third night, I came home and found the note. It was taped to my door, just a scrap of paper, folded once. No name, no address, just 3 words, written in the same shaky handwriting I'd seen on the map. Let's go back. I didn't touch the note for a full minute. I just stood there, key halfway in the lock, eyes locked on that little scrap of paper taped to my door. My heart was thudding so loud I could feel it in my throat, this deep, raw pulse that made me feel sick. My hands were sweating. When I finally peeled it off, I couldn't stop staring at the handwriting. It was shaky, uneven, like someone had written it in the dark. But the message was clear. Let's go back. I fumbled the door open, slammed it behind me, and threw all the locks. I backed into the apartment, phone clutched tight in my hand, dialing 911 before I even realized I was doing it. The dispatcher picked up, calm and bored sounding. I tried to explain that someone had been following me, that they left a note on my door, that they knew where I lived. But as soon as she asked if anyone was currently outside or if I'd seen the person, my words stumbled. No, they're not here right now, but they were at my apartment, they were at my campsite, they texted me. She asked if I had the texts or the note. I said yes. She asked if anything had been damaged, if anyone had tried to break in. I said no. Her voice stayed flat. Okay, we can have an officer come by and take a report. Are you in immediate danger? I didn't know how to answer that. She told me to stay inside, keep the doors locked, and someone would come by. An hour later, a cop showed up. Middle-aged guy, tired eyes, polite but detached. He looked at the note, looked at the text on my phone, asked if I had any enemies, exes, anyone who might be messing with me. I said no. He nodded slowly, handed the note back, told me to call if anything else happened, but honestly, there wasn't much they could do without a suspect or a crime. That night, I didn't sleep. I pushed a chair under the doorknob, wedged a kitchen knife under my pillow, and lay there wide awake, every creak of the building setting me on edge. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I didn't want to leave the apartment, didn't want to risk running into him, whoever the hell he was, out on the street. But by the afternoon, the walls were closing in on me. My brain was spinning out, imagining the worst, and I knew I needed to do something. So I packed a bag. Essentials only, wallet, phone, charger, a change of clothes. I called my buddy Dave, the only person I trusted enough to tell. When he answered, his voice was groggy. Dude, it's Saturday, what's up? I didn't know how to start. Can I crash at your place? Just for a night or two? There was a pause. Yeah. You okay? I told him a shorter, cleaned-up version of the story. Creepy guy, maybe followed me home, maybe messing with me, left out the part about the whispering, left out the part where I'd been afraid to close my eyes for 2 days. Dave's a good guy. He said, yeah, come over, we'll drink some beers, talk it out. I packed up, double-checked all the locks and left. As I was walking down the hall, I got that crawling feeling on the back of my neck, like someone was watching. I turned, half expecting to see someone at the end of the corridor. No one. But as I reached the stairs, I noticed something weird. The fire door at the end of the hall, the one that's always closed, was propped open with a brick. I hadn't noticed that before. I stared at it for a second, heart thudding, then shook it off and kept moving. Dave lived across town, maybe a 20-minute drive. I parked outside his building, took the stairs 2 at a time and practically collapsed into his apartment. He handed me a beer, clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Dude, you look like shit." We hung out that night, watched dumb movies, ordered pizza. For the first time in days, I felt almost okay. But when I crashed on his couch around midnight, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being waited for. I kept jerking awake, heart racing, sure I'd heard something. A window creaking, a door handle turning. But every time the apartment was dark and silent. At 3 a.m. I finally drifted into this restless, half-dreaming sleep. And that's when I heard it. Right up close. A whisper curling right against my ear. "Mark." I bolted upright, heart slamming, and for a split second I thought I saw a figure standing at the edge of the room, just beyond the glow of the streetlights through the window. I scrambled to turn on the lamp. and when the light came on, the corner was empty. I sat there for a long time, breathing hard, trying to convince myself it was just a nightmare. But when the sun came up, and I went to grab my jacket from the chair by the door, something fell out of the pocket. A scrap of paper. Same shaky handwriting. You can't hide. When that piece of paper hit the floor, I just stood there staring at it. I didn't want to pick it up. My fingers were trembling so bad I could barely move. My throat was tight, this sour, metallic taste filling my mouth. My head was screaming, how? How the hell did it get there? I'd been with Dave all night. I hadn't left the apartment. Nobody had been near me. I finally crouched, snatched it up, and read it again, praying maybe I'd imagined it. You can't hide. Same crooked, shaky writing, same message. I woke Dave up, shaking his shoulders so hard he nearly swung at me. Jesus, Mark, what the fuck, dude? I shoved the note at him. Read it. Look at it. It was in my jacket. He blinked, bleary-eyed, took the paper. His face shifted from annoyed to confused. What is this? Where did this come from? I don't know, I snapped, pacing the room. I haven't. It was in my pocket. I didn't put it there, Dave. He put it there. Dave ran a hand through his hair, sitting up on the edge of the couch. Okay, calm down, man. Who the hell is he? I tried to explain everything. The campsite, the whispering, the map pinned to the tree, the picture of my car. Dave stared at me the whole time, silent, rubbing his jaw. When I finally stopped, panting, shaking, he let out this long breath. Look, he said carefully. I don't think you're making this up. But man, are you sure you didn't just, I don't know, have a bad trip or something? Did you take anything out there? Mushrooms, weed, edibles? I wasn't high, I nearly shouted. Dave, I swear to God, someone followed me home. Someone was in my apartment. They were in here. I gestured wildly at the room. Here, Dave. He didn't say anything for a second. Then he stood up and clapped his hands together like he was trying to shake himself awake. Okay, he said. Okay, let's do this. We go to your apartment. We pack your shit. You stay here a few days. And on Monday, we go to the police together. Deal? I nodded, swallowing hard. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It was still early, maybe 7 a.m, when we pulled up to my place. The hallway was quiet, my door just as I'd left it, deadbolt still in place. We went inside and I immediately checked everything. Windows, closet, under the bed. Nothing. No sign anyone had been there. I packed fast, stuffing clothes and essentials into a duffel bag. Dave hovered in the doorway, trying to keep things light, cracking jokes. But I could tell he was uneasy too. His eyes kept darting to the windows, his foot tapping. When we left, I locked up tight, triple-checking every lock. We got back to Dave's place, and I holed up there for the rest of the day. I kept the curtains closed, my phone on silent, not answering texts. I felt like I was crawling out of my skin. Every knock on the door, every car pulling up outside made me jump. That night, Dave made us pasta, poured us both a whiskey, and tried to calm me down. I'm telling you, man, he said. Once you talk to the cops, this'll get sorted. It's probably just some arsehole messing with you. I wanted to believe that. God, I wanted to believe that. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just some random arsehole. I could feel it. That night, Dave gave me his bed and crashed on the couch. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, knife on the nightstand, phone gripped tight in my hand. Sometime after midnight, I must have dozed off. And then the whisper came back. But this time it wasn't in my head. It was in the room, clear, soft, right next to the bed. Mark. I sat bolt upright, heart slamming, chest heaving. The room was pitch black. I fumbled for the lamp, knocked it over, cursed, grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. There was no one there. I ran to the door. Dave was still asleep on the couch, TV flickering softly. I shook him awake. Did you hear that? Did you fucking hear that, Dave? He groaned, rubbing his face. What? Hear what? The whisper. I was pacing now, hands tugging at my hair. It was here, Dave. I swear to God, it was in the room. It said my name. He sat up, frowning, clearly trying to figure out if I was losing my mind. Mark, maybe you should talk to someone. Like, professionally. I stopped, staring at him. You think I'm making this up? I didn't say that. You think I'm making this up? Before he could answer, there was a sound. A soft, deliberate knock at the front door. 3 slow knocks. We both froze. Then another knock. And another. I backed away from the door, shaking my head, whispering, No, no, no. Dave grabbed a baseball bat from the closet. We crept to the peephole. Nobody there. Dave cracked the door open an inch, peered out. Nothing but the empty apartment hallway. But on the floor, just outside, was a folded piece of paper. Dave picked it up, unfolded it slowly. I watched his face drain of color as he read it. He handed it to me, his fingers trembling. Same writing, same shaky, uneven scrawl. We're not done. I didn't want to read the note. I didn't want to touch it. But Dave kept shoving it toward me like he needed me to see it. Like if I didn't look, he'd go insane trying to carry it alone. So I took it. The paper was damp, like it had been outside for a while. And the handwriting. God, the handwriting was worse now. Jagged, more frantic. We're not done. I wanted to scream or throw up, or both. Dave backed away from the door, shutting it carefully, sliding the chain across. His face was pale, his mouth pressed into this tight, hard line. Okay, he muttered, pacing. Okay. What the fuck, man? What the actual fuck? I was shaking all over. My whole body was buzzing with adrenaline, my teeth chattering. I pressed my fists against my forehead, rocking back and forth like some panicked animal. Dave was talking, rapid fire. We call the cops. No, this time we really call the cops. They come here. They'll see the note. They'll check the security cams. There's got to be a camera in the hallway, right? But his voice was just a blur in my ears. Because something hit me, right then, like a punch to the gut. There was no camera. I knew the building layout, I'd been here before, and there was no security camera in the hallway outside Dave's apartment. And that meant whoever had left the note knew that. They knew where to stand, they knew how to approach. They knew they wouldn't be seen. I snapped back into focus and said sharply, We have to leave. Now. Dave looked at me like I'd grown a second head. What? We're not going outside. That's exactly what they want, man. I'm not staying in here, Dave. I was practically shouting now, heart hammering so loud it drowned out everything else. You don't understand this guy. He's in my head. He's in here, I trailed off, because I'd just noticed something. One of the windows, the one facing the back alley, was slightly open, just a crack. Neither of us had opened it. I pointed at it, mouth dry. Did you? Dave followed my gaze and his face went slack. No. We both stood frozen, staring at that narrow, dark crack. Then Dave grabbed his keys, shoved me toward the door. We're going. Fuck it. Get your stuff. We bolted, didn't even turn off the lights, didn't lock up. Just sprinted down the stairs, out into the night, hearts pounding so loud I could barely hear the street sounds. We jumped into his car. Dave's hands were shaking as he shoved the key into the ignition. Where the fuck are we going? He gasped, looking over at me, his eyes wide, wild. I didn't know. My mind was blank, just a pounding roar of panic. Somewhere with people, I finally said. A motel, somewhere crowded. Dave nodded, slammed the car into gear and peeled out. We drove aimlessly for a while, every intersection looking the same in the dark. My phone buzzed and I flinched so hard I almost dropped it. Unknown number. No text, no picture. Just a live location share ping. A little red dot, centered right where we were. Dave saw it over my shoulder. Who the fuck is that? I don't know, I choked out, swiping it away, blocking the number, deleting the conversation. My fingers were slick with sweat. We pulled into the first motel we saw, one of those old-school, grimy roadside ones with flickering neon and numbered doors. The kind you'd see in a horror movie, the kind that screamed, "Don't stop here." But it was late, and we were desperate. We got a room, double-locked the door, dragged the dresser in front of it for good measure. Dave pulled the curtains tight, then sat on the edge of the bed, running his hands through his hair over and over. Neither of us spoke for a long time. I just sat there, staring at my phone, heart hammering, waiting for another ping. At some point, Dave fell asleep, fully dressed, clutching the baseball bat across his chest like a lifeline. I stayed awake. I couldn't not. And that's when I noticed it. Outside, across the lot, there was a man, standing just under the edge of the motel sign's flickering light. He was too far to make out his face, but he was tall, wearing a brown jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. He didn't move, didn't pace, didn't fidget, just watched. I wanted to wake Dave. I wanted to call the police, but I was frozen. My mouth felt wired shut, my limbs heavy as stone. The man stood there for a long time, half in the shadow, half in the light. And then, without warning, he raised his hand and waved, slowly, deliberately, right at me. I don't know how long I sat there, frozen at the window. I couldn't breathe right. Shallow little gaps, chest tight like a fist was squeezing the air out of me. The man across the lot just stood there, under the flickering motel sign, arms still raised in that slow, deliberate wave. Not a friendly wave. Not a "hey, I know you" wave. It was something else. A message. I see you. I know you. You can't run. I reached back blindly, shaking Dave's shoulder, whispering, "Wake up. Wake up. Wake the fuck up." He grunted, stirred, rubbed his eyes. "Mark? What?" But before he could finish, I hissed, "He's here." Dave shot up, grabbing the bat, stumbling to the window. He squinted out. "Where?" I pointed with a trembling hand. "There, under the sign." The jacket. The cap. Him. Dave peered harder, eyes narrowing. I don't see anyone, man. I pressed my face to the glass, panic rising, but the lot was empty. No figure, no shadow, just the cracked pavement, the broken neon buzzing. I felt something twist inside me, this cold, sick wave flooding my chest. No, I whispered. He was there. I swear to God, he was right fucking there. Dave clapped a hand on my shoulder. Hey, it's okay. You're freaking yourself out, man. You haven't slept. You're seeing shit. But I knew I hadn't imagined it. I could still feel his eyes on me. We stayed up the rest of the night. Every little noise outside made us flinch. By morning, I was shaking, exhausted, but too wired to sleep. Dave finally convinced me to go to the police, for real this time, not just a report, but to demand they investigate. We packed our stuff and headed to the station. I told them everything: the campsite, the map, the texts, the notes, the man outside the motel, the cop taking the report, a younger guy, maybe late 20s, listened carefully, scribbled everything down. But when I showed him the texts, the photos, the notes, his face stayed blank, almost too blank, like he was trying hard not to show anything. When I was done, he tapped his pen on the desk and said, "So you never actually saw this person's face?" I shook my head. "No, but..." "And you have no idea how they got into your apartment? No security footage? No witnesses?" "No, but listen, it's not just me. My friend saw the notes too, right, Dave?" I turned, looking at Dave for backup, but Dave's face was pale, his eyes darting away. "Yeah," he mumbled. "Yeah, I saw the notes." The cop sighed, closed the folder. "Look, we'll file this, but without evidence there's not much we can do. You should stay somewhere safe. Maybe stay with family. Change your number. Keep an eye out. If anything escalates, call us immediately." That was it. That was all. When we left the station, the sunlight felt harsh, unreal. I wanted to scream. We went back to Dave's apartment. I sat there staring at my phone, waiting for another text, another ping, but nothing came. That night I crashed hard. First real sleep in days. And when I woke up the next morning, Dave was gone. Not gone like ran to the store, gone like his room stripped, his stuff missing, no note, no message. I called him, straight to voicemail. I texted, nothing. I even drove to his workplace. They said he'd called out sick, hadn't shown up. I haven't seen him since. That was 6 months ago. I'm writing this now from a different city, a different apartment, a whole new life. I changed my number. I deleted social media. I never go camping anymore. But sometimes late at night, when everything's quiet, I swear I hear it. That whisper, soft, curling through the dark. My name. Mark. And sometimes, just sometimes, when I walk home at night, I see a figure across the street. A tall man, brown jacket, baseball cap pulled low, standing under a broken streetlight. Not moving, just waiting. I try not to look. I try to tell myself it's not real. But deep down, I know we're not done.